what this presentation is going to do is kind of differentiate between, is this just a hype, or what is the reality of using it in an everyday interior design setting? So, AI versus human. What we thought we'd do is we'd do an independent research, mainly with a team of interior designers, both internally and externally, and see if they were actually using AI in their everyday tasks. Oh my God, we have air conditioning, guys. This is better than AI. Plug it in. Right, so AI versus human. My kind of two bits is that AI sometimes really rocks, but sometimes it really shocks, okay? And why am I saying that? This is our team at Row. Look at them, they're such pretty people. Some are in the audience as well. So we have 40 plus people in Dubai and in Riyadh. And I'm an owner and a creative director. When I look at our payroll bills every single month, it's quite high, right? And I think, wow, if there was a 20,000 or 20,000 Riyal, not dirhams, 20,000 Riyal machine that could replace these beautiful faces, I'd be super rich. But what would I get? Okay, so all you finance guys, are there any finance guys in the audience today? Not a single procurement finance person, even better, so you're not salivating yet. But I'm going to show you how we do it, right? The first question, the first thing that we wanted to set out when we did this research, the question we asked was, what are the key ways in which AI is transforming the interior design and architecture industry? And I thought, what better way to do it than ask ChatGPT? So now you're just going to listen to my voice so I can grab a sip of water.
Right.
If the audio works. You're not going to listen to my voice. Anyways, the research is a qualitative research question, and it had these questions on how, at which stage in interior design do we actually use AI. I'm going to give you a second to read ChatGPT's response. So simply the question was, how can AI help us? And this is what ChatGPT said. ChatGPT, by the way, is really bullish. They want us designers to lose our jobs. This is very clear to me from this exhaustive list. But when I looked at, right down at the bottom of that, enhanced client interaction. How many of you guys in the audience deal with clients every day? Quite a few of us, right? So most days, they're really supportive, collaborative, they give you a pat on the back. But some days, they're really needy, emotional, and unreasonable. So if there was a way AI could take that off my plate, sign me up. But that's not happening yet, right? So let me show you which parts of the design stages we actually use it. To just simplify our research, I broke it down into the 6 main streams that we do as a studio: pre-concept, concept, space planning, detailed design, MEP, and visualization. Now, this is in no means an exhaustive list, and I'm not saying that we should use my studio Roar as a proxy for the industry. But I think more or less, most interior design studios do this when they deliver an output, right? So let's see where we use AI. So in our research, the first question we asked is, how many of you interior designers, this is 50 plus people, use it in the pre-concept phase? And how many of you find it helpful? So next to 67% of people find it helpful. And then another 11% find it slightly helpful, and then 22% moderately helpful. So the overall sentiment is that it's very helpful. But what does that mean? Let me give you a couple of examples. Typically, when we do pre-concept, so we've just met the client and they're like, hey, I want to design a nightclub or beach club in this case. I was like, great. We never use images from somebody else's body of work. We always start with a narrative, and the images are very abstract, right? Because we're building a color palette off of here. And for this particular project, it was biomimicry. The second part of our pre-concept is, what is the vibe? What is the color palette? How do we want people to feel in this space, right? So we just put together a couple of images that capture the mood, the zeitgeist of the place. And then what we typically do, and everybody who works with me, they're used to me sending these crappy sketches to them. And everybody who says you need to have pretty sketches, it's such nonsense. You can just get away with this. So that's a flow plan. And that's kind of my initial sketch. So when I'm ideating, I always start there. So what did I want in this sketch? For this beach club, I wanted a round space with a lot of drapery, with some kind of spherical structure that's suspended from the ceiling. And I had this idea of having sea creatures as sculptures for the stage outside. That's how basic my first sketch was. What we did after that, because we've got quite a few AI enthusiasts in the team. And again, this is just pre-concept. So we're meeting the client in a week's time. I took the same kind of prompt. My colleague took the prompt to Midjourney. I took it to DALL-E 3, and a visualizer took it to Adobe Firefly. And that was the prompt. A circular closed room, double volume, glowing chain light, net format suspended from the ceiling, an onyx ball. You can see that? That's written in very plain English. In 5 minutes, very quickly, we generated these options. And these are just 3 options I'm showing you. We actually generated about 75 options. So I was like, oh my God. And this is like a year ago, right? I'm like, this is great. Let's just fire all the visualizers, fire all the designers. I'm going to be so rich. I'm just going to do this all day. But actually, when you look a bit closer, it totally disregards scale. It disregards proportion. It doesn't understand what the Saudi government rules are. As Hani and Sumaya were saying in the earlier panel, it doesn't even understand what the environmental needs are, right? So it's not that accurate. But it's so much fun to play with, guys. So once you're on Midjourney, you know, the options are just unlimited. So this is, again, working off that first little shitty sketch, going to Midjourney, and then revising the prompt. So how did we revise the prompt? Here I was like, oh my God, what if the entire ceiling was a giant disco ball, but it was undulated? Boom, in 5 seconds, that was the image. What if, you know that first drape that I had? What if I had a series of spears falling down from it, or undulating the entire surface? Boom, next set of images. The last one, I was like, you know, what if this is all looking a little bit too futuristic? What if I wanted it to be more earthy? And again, in the next 5 minutes. My point is, at pre-concept stage, this is a great ideation tool because it's generating these visuals. And of course, this is not what the space looks like. I'm going to show you what the space looks like in a second. But it was a great way for us to very quickly test drive ideas, put it in front of the client, and see if they were gravitating towards any of these images. I think these images are super sophisticated, and they were done in about 10 minutes. Okay, so we generated about 200 images, done in 10 minutes, iterations of that same prompt, and just a few kind of revisions to that prompt. And so I think that one's kind of my favorite. I was like, what if it was a Barbie doll mermaid mansion drape, and it came up with that, right? So you can basically put whatever you want, and it'll give you some version of it. And if you remember in my original sketch, I talked about having sea creatures. And I talked about, you know, in my original sketch, I'll go back to it, I'll show you in a second. I drew this jellyfish umbrella. I was like, oh my God, Dubai doesn't have a beach club with jellyfish umbrellas and sea creatures. I want to do it. Now, of course, if I sat down with my visualizer, explained this to him, it would have been 4 or 5 days till he got this quality of render. But this was a very quick 5-minute test, literally 5 minutes. And look at those images. And I put this in front of the client, and what did the client say, guys? Any guesses? Do you think he said he loved it? How many of you think he said he loved it? Just a show of hands. 1, 2. Can you hire me? Because he hated it. He said, what is this? This is way too out there. I don't want sea creatures. It looks so childish. And I was like, you know what? Nobody appreciated Van Gogh in his time, and I'm happy to be Van Gogh. So if you see jellyfish umbrella somewhere in the next project, just know it's me. Okay, I'm patenting this. Right, so that's pre-concept. This is the final concept visual, okay? Very far from those initial Midjourney sketches. But I still got my round ceiling, very subdued. He said, you can't have a full sphere, so I'll give you half a sphere, which is what we have here. And he's like, I need it to be more beachy. But do you see what I mean? It doesn't have to be those images, but the coloring, the palette, all of that informed this final visual when we did it. This is a toilet in the same project. And as you can see, it still has those playful forms. In fact, that idea of that neon palm, you know, California light came from the jellyfish idea, came from those images. So you see, there is a connection. It's not literal, but it was a great way to ideate some of the stuff that we were doing. So, next up, concept, right? In concept stage, we really start fleshing out the pre-concept. We show the client pretty pictures, we show them, you know, mood boards, what have you. But here, we have to figure out how to build this. You know, we start thinking about that at this stage. And as you can see, I would say about 80% of people said that AI was super helpful. Okay, and I'm going to show you how. This is why I'm telling you, giving you the stats, which is the quantitative research, and then I'm showing you the quality of the work. So watch this quick video for a second. Okay, so this is a software called Adobe Firefly. Now, it's not very often that we're given a project and we're like, here's carte blanche, here's a blank canvas, go do what you want. Sometimes we work on refurbs, right? And again, typical clients. How many designers in the room? Yeah, quite a lot of us. Do you know those awful clients that are like, give me 50 options right now, tomorrow? I was like, of course you can have 50 options. And this is how you can have those 50 options, right? They wanted a different corridor in this particular project. And it was as easy as just tracing a polyline on that ceiling and showing the client very quickly. And we did this within a meeting. So this is a tool you can go away and use straight away. It's a free to use tool as well. Midjourney is a $10, kind of subscription fee. So still, you're not breaking the bank, but it's really helping you. But what else do we use it at for concept stage? So very often, and we all order samples, right? And they never arrive on time. never right before our presentation. So we've ditched the whole physical samples idea at the concept stage. What we've started doing is a lot of material boards on AI. So there's softwares like Inflow, Mateo board, there's tons. Just Google it and it'll come up. And again, this is generated very quickly. So what are the prompts we put in? Put a couple of fabric swashes, a paint, a piece of rope. These are the colors we want. Put an image of the desert. And it generates variations of that same sample board, which we then take away and build a proper physical sample board. Now, we were designing a nursery, a daycare center right here in Saudi, in Kaft. And the client was like, look, this has to be progressive, it has to be innovative, it has to be cutting edge. I was like, great, you don't need me. Let me get the bot to design it, right? So again, we went through this process of putting the prompts in, and we said sinuous forms, curvy linear, cocoon-like spaces. Do you see that in the image? It's like the cocoon spaces. AI kind of understands what we're saying, right? And then, it created all these permutations. But start looking closely at these images. Look at that chair. It has 5 legs, right? Look at this wall right here. We did say sinuous, but what's going on with the shapes? Look at what's happening with the lighting here. So, at first glance, you look at it and you're like, oh, wow, they've designed the nursery. Of course they haven't. Of course they haven't. Read these comments for a second. I'm going to give you like 5-10 seconds to read these comments. So this was the sentiment that resonated with all the designers that we surveyed. It was a great ideation tool. We took all those ideas, and this is a visual that a human did. So this is a collaboration between a designer and a visualizer in our studio. And come on, guys. I mean, if you were to choose, where are you sending your kids? I think you're sending them here, right? Or are you just going to be like that nasty client who didn't like the jellyfish? No is the resounding answer. Let's move on. So a couple more visuals, and then this space is actually built. It's in Kaft, very close to those photorealistic visuals that we showed the client. And this is what's important. We deliver on that imagery. I'm hoping the audio is going to work here. This is an associate designer with us, and she's going to show you how she's used AI on a project.
Okay, so today I'm going to talk about how humans are essential for AI, as there are tasks that Midjourney can't always pick up. When I say that, I do mean things like scale, things like your design vision. Sometimes what you are trying to do is a bit too traditional that comes out than what you actually are looking for. For example, we were designing this executive office where we generated some boardroom images in AI. These images on your right are a bit too traditional and it didn't work with that design. And these images on the left were a bit too photorealistic. They were too futuristic. You could take some ideas, which were great, but the scale of the windows, the scale of the overall space was a bit too off. Now, when we do actually introduce our human touch into the design, you can see the level of detail that comes into the space. So for example, the wall light details, the scales, the proportions, the furniture. Yes, AI does help in generating ideas for the space, but eventually you do need that human touch.
So look, none of us want to be dinosaurs, right? When there's a new technology that comes out, the onus is on us as designers, as people who educate our clients to understand how that technology works. So we've done our homework, but honestly, even for concept stage, as great as it was for ideation, the real trick is when our visualizer did that whole presentation for us. So I talked to you about how AI rocks, right? Great for pre-concept, great for concept. Now I'm going to show you a couple of examples where AI just doesn't work, and which is why us designers are going to have our jobs. Simple example. When Index came to me and they were like, come on, you do AI stuff all the time. Do this presentation for us. I was like, great. Why am I doing this presentation? Let me get a bot to do this presentation. So there's this great website. It's called Prezi.ai or Prezi.com, and it generates slides for you. Before we generated the slides, I thought, great, I'm just going to put my content in there and it's going to tell me, and I'm going to have a fantastic presentation. But I'm so particular about my opening cover image. So I was like, let me go into Midjourney and put that prompt in. So you always do imagine prompt, 2 hands like Michelangelo, but 1 hand is human, the other hand is robot. You see how quickly it's done that? You pick one of those and then you do variations of it. So it did several variations of it, but in the end, we just used the robot hand, and I actually photographed one of our team members' hands because actually she has very pretty hands, and I didn't like the Midjourney bot's hands. But you see how quick that process is, especially for ideation, like when you want to put the slides together. And this is Prezi.com. In about 10 minutes, so I put the topic of my chat, which is transformative in how is AI going to transform the interior design industry? What is the good, the bad, the ugly? And in 10 minutes, these were the slides that came up. On first glance, bloody impressive, okay? But when you start reading closer, right, what is it saying? It's saying nothing. It's saying AI significantly enhances the speed of efficiency in the design process. So this is someone stringing together some big words to make it sound like it makes sense. What we actually did when we did this presentation is did a quantitative research, a qualitative research, and we're giving you actual data. So let's talk about AI in visualization, right? Visualization is a tool that's how we sell. That's our bread and butter. That's how we sell our designs. That's how it goes into the marketing brochures. It goes into the hoardings of your construction campaigns, all of that kind of stuff. And the visualizers, we have a team of 7. They said that AI was no help whatsoever. So this is a senior visualizer with us at Roar. His name is Tafsir, and he's going to show you how he created this visual both with AI and in 3D Max, which is a standard software. So we typically do a SketchUp model.
Hi everyone, in this video the designer created the SketchUp model and I used AI called Stable Diffusion. It took me 5 minutes to generate these options, but we were not happy with the quality. Then I used 3ds Max to give a try, which took me longer, but as you can see, differences are very noticeable. And in the left side, as you can see, it's the 3ds Max one, and the right side is AI one just created.
Okay, so look at Stable Diffusion. Not bad quality. I think it's pretty decent, right? But you can't really print it, put it in a brochure, you can't put it in a hoarding. And when you look in closer, it's not really got, when you zoom into that little top right-hand corner, you'll see an accessory there, but it could be a stone. But it generated this in 10 minutes. So if your client is coming to you and saying, hey, listen, show me 10 options of how we can make this living room kitchen scenario work, please use a software called Stable Diffusion. It is quick, it's easy, it's cheap. But then honestly, when you're selling your stuff, go back to 3D Max. Okay, detailed design. You know what this is, right? Construction documentation. This is the stuff we give the contractors to build. We've got a big CAD team at Roar. We're about 10 people. And I asked them, hey guys, are you using AI? And they just looked at me like I was an alien, like I was the bot myself. And they said it was no help, which I expected, to be honest. Space planning. Now again, this is another one of those everyday tasks that we as interior designers do. And there's some fantastic AI software in the market, but according to our team, it's not very helpful. I'm going to show you a quick example. So on the, what is this? I'm so dyslexic. On the right, you have me sketching a space plan. And on the left, this is a machine, it's a web-based software. All AI web-based softwares are for residential projects, but we're a multidisciplinary firm. We do hospitality, we do education, we do offices. It doesn't have the sophistication to do the kind of scaled plans that we can do very quickly. Another thing is, again, when you look closer, you are limited by the models and the icons that they have, right? Which might not be what you want. Like, I don't want that awful 1950s square sofa in any living room that I design. But I'm limited. I'm limited by the warehouse that they have. So not a great tool. But another example, if for those of you that design workspaces, very often we get asked to do a test fit. Gemma, you've had this experience, surely, populating a test fit. And very often you'll see these very linear desk after desk, one meeting room, the other meeting room. But then when a human sketches that out, we're actually designing as we're space planning. We're thinking about what the customer journey is, what is the experience. We're thinking about what worked on another project. And you could never, ever get that with a test fit. So we have started, what we're doing is, because we haven't found an AI model that does space planning the way we do as a company, as Roar. So we are now developing a new machine learning model where we're feeding in hundreds of plans that we've done over the last 10 years. And then it's going to start generating plans that look like this, not that look. And Tamara knows how much I love space planning. And the other advantage is, you see that? That's my lovely economy class seat. This is what I often do. I travel a lot. I don't have internet connection on some of the flights. AI doesn't work on the flight, but I have an 8-hour flight where I can be super, super productive. And that's when I get most of my space planning done. Are you guys convinced now that AI is really evil and we're going to keep our jobs? I hope so. And so I'm just giving you for me, the success and the happy medium is when we strike a balance between the two. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I don't think just because you use AI, you have to quit analog drawing, and just because you're an analog thinker, you don't have to adopt AI. I disagree with that. I think they can coexist. And that's why I've broken it down for you. When you're doing design narratives, precedent analysis, testing design styles, material boards, quick test renders, AI rocks. Don't touch it for as-built drawings. Don't touch it for MEP. It's not there yet. Don't do the show-stopping client visuals for them, because your clients are going to walk away from you. So I'm just breaking it down for you. One other thing I want to touch upon. Watch this quick video. Okay, so about 2 years ago, everybody was talking about the metaverse one day, and I was one of those people. I jumped right on the bandwagon. I did a big keynote on this everywhere around the world. Whoever would listen, I was talking about it. I bought virtual plots, I bought the NFTs. We built a Roar office on the metaverse. We built this bank for Singapore. Actually, I feel like I've recovered all my costs because there was a bank in Singapore that actually hired us to build their metaverse property. So yay, okay, made some money. But I lost a lot of money too. And I'm okay with that, because I think if you don't have skin in the game, if you're not putting yourself out there and trying and testing these new technologies, you really will become a dinosaur. So I'm okay. I'm very proudly admit I was wrong about the metaverse. I still kind of think that it's an idea in its infancy and it'll come back in 10 years. But when it does, I'll be there. But now on the AI bandwagon, I'm on it. I'm promoting it, but I'm just sharing our experiences with you so you use it wisely and don't buy NFTs, guys, and don't buy any crypto because, yeah, not this time. But thank you for sitting in this hot room and listening to me. I really appreciate your time. Does everyone just want to escape and get a cold drink, or do you have any questions? I won't be offended if you don't. You do have a question. You're making everyone sit here now.
Thanks, Pallavi. I very much enjoyed your presentation, and I really liked the end result, which you actually sold to your client when it came to the design. Now, my question is, in 10 years' time, do you think that we'd be having the same discussion, or AI would have learned a lot about what we like and what we hate about AI, and would develop its models and its interactivity with us? And how do we as designers, or how do designers protect themselves in this industry in 10 years time or 15 years time?
Okay, great question. So what we're doing as a practice, I can only speak for myself. What we're doing as a practice, as I said, we're developing a proprietary machine learning model. So it is going to design like raw designs, okay? That's the only way AI learns. AI, okay, artificial intelligence, first of all, guys, there's no such thing as artificial intelligence, okay? Because artificial intelligence has to be a sentient being. A sentient being is someone who feels. That does not exist today. It exists in Minority Report. It does not exist right now. What the current format of AI is, it's big data. Someone is programming tons of Excel, and it's a whole process of machine learning, which is regurgitating reports, right? Results. So for AI to understand how I design, I have to feed it the data, which is what we're developing right now, right? It's an expensive and time-intensive process, but I think in 10 years down the line, I don't want to be left behind. So that's what I'm doing. How do designers protect their jobs? I don't think we have anything to worry about. When we went through the first level of industrial revolution, everyone was like, oh my God, nobody's going to have work. We're all doomed. Come on, guys, come on. We all had jobs after the Industrial Revolution. It's just going to be a moderation and iteration, a tweaked version of what we do. And rely on AI for the bad stuff. Like I said, if AI could handle client liaison for me, I'd be very happy to just sit on the flight and just sketch for hours. So figure out what are the processes that can be automated, like space planning, which you can get AI to do, and focus on the design. Yeah? Awesome. Anyone else? Yes? Shit. Are you going to give it to him?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I want to ask about the AI recommendation. If you have any AI program recommendation.
Yes.
AI,
so software recommendations?
Yes.
Okay, Midjourney. Start with Midjourney. It's a fantastic tool. DALL-E 2. DALLE 2, DALL-E 2, stable diffusion for visualizations. And then in terms of material boards and stuff, just Google it. Loads will come up. Yeah?
Thank you.
Good. All right. Should I release you from this sauna steam experience? Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.